Season 6, Episode 24, Top Bolt.
Also known as the best, cutest sneeze ever.
I guess some housekeeping to take care of from last week and some looking around at what the dates are. We were just talking about this, but based on the fact that we're getting a season 7 and that the movie comes out on October 6th. 26 weeks is half a year, so back it up 6 months. That is from 10/6 to 4/6, which January, February, March, April. So the given that they've said it's in the spring and it will probably start before April, uh, I'm gonna say it's probably the next season's probably going to start in March. Because that's how long that would give you uh, the proper spacing for it. Though they may press it later and have a hiatus around the movie or something. But I think the movie is as big as it is. It's probably an after a season. There'll be a season finale that tail ends and that dovetails into the movie or something. But the other housekeeping note was last week we had a discussion on where were their parents. Well, we got some word of God that they were on vacation on Twitter. I forget who said it, but basically some of the staff said that, yeah, they were on vacation. They were there because, like we were talking about it, the timeline is a little fuzzy on that if they're already gone. But that said, housekeeping out of the way, let's talk about Top Colt.
Achoo!
Not as cute.
Achoo!
Definitely not as cute. Okay, so Wonderbolts have spring training, and Dashie is heading home to relax, kick up her hooves, and do what she wants.
A little.
Because a pirate is free, and she is a pirate.
Yep.
Trying off ramble there. I didn't get enough sleep last night, so I'm a little off. Which may be more entertaining for you, so have fun with that. So spring training is over, but apparently they only have a week until they have to be back. I guess they basically say, okay, Wonderbolts, you have your spring training, then you can go home and do stuff and be back in a week, because we're going to use this week while you're gone to do trials week. I forgot where there was the first scene kind of talks about that. If you just follow the logical progression, but yeah. So we're getting nice continuity. She's gonna go do Daring Do with Twy, cider with AJ, and a sleepover with Pinky. Which all things that have been quite established as her favorite things. Let the shippers fall where they may. Spitfire loves yelling and blowing whistles. Well, we already knew that. She does love her whistle and does love yelling. Which I'll get back to later on in the review on this. So we get butt mark, beeper goes off, and she gets called back to work as soon as she got home. So that's always awful.
Doc says, isn't cider in the fall, though?
It's yeah, well, it should be when the harvest is, but equestrian harvests don't really follow any particular rules. At least Sweet Apple Acres don't. And besides, we just had Where the Apple Lies. They were just doing cider, so they were going to do cider soon. Actually, yeah, they just made it because they had made it and bottled it and put it in crates. So
Yeah, she says she's listening, but CBA
yeah, I
to
saw
talk.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean, the cider has. They just did the cider, so maybe she's making more cider. Or maybe these things. The thing with Pony is that I don't think the seasons always happen in exact chronological order of if there's not a direct link telling you that they're following one another, they could be jumbled in any which direction and to make more sense. It's a bit of a Haruhi order.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that. Let's see. Apparently, wings falling off has only happened once.
Was
Really?
it Rainbow Dash?
No, she has both of her wings. But yeah, I think something more sinister was at play if your wings are falling off. But I do like them. I always like the military outfit Spitfire gets when she's drill sergeanting. Sergeanting? When she's being a drill sergeant. Okay, so Sky Stinger has permanent smug face the whole time they're getting yelled at. Which, yeah, that's, yeah. How he got away with not, drilling, whatever. Doesn't matter. Why it would have been funnier if she'd cracked down on him a little bit, giving him a little piece of her mind on that. Let's see. Kind of setting up some of the conflict. And at this point we get one of the B conflicts, because this episode tends to basically have two major kind of lines of conflict. There's the conflict over whether to tell them the problems that they need to fix to get better, and ruining their confidence, or not telling them what they need to know and them not improving.
Yep.
And then there's the other conflict, which is the whole Vapor Trail assisting too much, which that's right out of It Isn't Easy Being Breezy's episode with Fluttershy. It's that episode, that kind of thought pattern again. So those kind of run back and forth the entire episode, which it's kind of interesting when you contrast that with what Spitfire is doing in the background. She's sitting there just ripping into them the entire time, and they're like, might hurt their confidence. Well, Spitfire's out there just throwing javelins at them, basically. Throwing verbal javelins. Do this. And,
I cannot fear confidence.
Yes, she cares not for it. She doesn't care, she doesn't care about the relationships, and she doesn't care about their confidence too much. She just, if you can't, probably thinks if you can't take it, and then you may not want to be here because it's it's going to be hard work, and if you can't take that sort of thing. Plus, you're going to be essentially a celebrity, so you got to be able to handle that. Okay, so Purple Smart glows at the idea of a classroom setting, but her teaching credentials are suspect at best. Yeah, she's supposed to, Doc's. She can't talk, but she's throwing us texts with what she's thinking as she's listening. But yeah, she's supposed to drill them down. Yeah, that's another thing about military kind of boot camp sort of things is generally they break down the individual and rebuild them as a part of the cohesive unit.
She ruins them to build up their confidence.
Yeah. But yeah, her teaching credentials are suspect at best. I mean, she can give a lecture easy enough, but actually sitting there trying to actively teach a bunch of people, a bunch of ponies that aren't really that interested in it. But anyway, yeah, we saw that in what was it? Testing 1 2 3. Her teaching credentials are suspect at best. We get T Sparks and the Dashinator.
T Sparks.
Yeah, really, Rainbow, really. Okay. So, one thing, being the nerd that I am, which if you are watching this, you already know that.
Nerd!
But, Sky set the vertical acceleration record. Okay, and this is interesting. I like when they give us numbers because I can play around with them. But, was that with or without assistance? Was it... Because were they so lax in watching the record that they didn't notice she was helping him? Or did he do that on his own? I would assume she helped him on that and they just weren't paying attention. But just some rough numbers. He went up 500 feet in 2 seconds. Which, if you do the math, D equals 1/2 AT squared plus V initial T plus D, well, X, or you can call the distance what you will, but you don't have an initial velocity. I'm assuming he doesn't have an initial velocity. He's on the ground, and he's going straight up. He's not going off at an angle. If that's the truth, if that's what happened, he has to have an acceleration of 200 feet per second squared, or 76.2 meters per second squared, which is about 7.78 G. Which, roughly speaking, in terms of examples, you're between Apollo 16 re-entry and an F-16 pulling out of a dive, in terms of what kind of G-forces you're looking at there. But yeah, just throwing some nerdy stuff out there for you. But yeah.
Well, now he has a different winged pony. He just eats a can of chili before he ascends up.
They do not have jet power.
They do if they eat enough beans.
There's Midrock going after the low-hanging joke fruit.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, and she was saying he can't even control a spin out. His confidence was hurt at that point, but yeah, I think yeah the vertical acceleration was probably yes based on what we see. Him without her help. She's definitely. I definitely suspect there was some assistance going on. But moving on to some of the back wall pictures in the kind of classroom, you notice all of the Wonderbolts are, all their pictures are exactly the same. Same pose, goggles down, over eyes, same pose. Everything's the same, except one. Little Dash decided, you know what? I'm a stand out. And so in her Wonderbolt picture, she's got the goggles pulled up and she's got this kind of smug smile on. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what Rainbow would do. Yes, she's Rainbow Diva, as Doc would say. She's got to show she's got to show off. um, let's see. Let's see. Vapor Trail is scared of the solo. Dash falls asleep before the students do. So, yeah, that's not a good teaching assistant if you can't even stay awake. When that was the one thing you had to do. You didn't have to pay attention. All you had to do was watch the students. And if they started falling asleep, wake them up.
Like, hey, at least nobody fell asleep. What? I'm not a student.
Yeah. I wonder if, she was, if it went on too much longer, she would have tried to use all the types of learning they learned in testing 1 2 3. Yeah, well, school makes her inherently tired. Doc says, well, yeah, and it's just not how she learns. It's not how she absorbs information. So it's just, you know, it's trying to fill a water jug with the cap on. It just doesn't work.
But don't stop trying because it's very amusing to watch.
But see, Sky is concerned about the Solo 2, but he's concerned for Vapor, which they both should be concerned for one another for what their what their faults are. So they discover that Vapor is helping Sky without his knowledge. And then we get that B conflict about telling them comes back into play. And you can see how it works out because you can tell Vapor's probably probably a good deal stronger flyer than Sky, basically because she's been flying them both, and they give her stuff for being exhausted, but she just she was basically flying for two, so her being exhausted isn't a crazy thing. Let's see. Oh, we find out about a new city, Stratusburg. We haven't heard about any pony from Stratusburg yet. It sounds like a foggy city. Because Stratus they're essentially high-hanging fog with possibility of a little drizzle. But she did win Best Sneeze. Vapor did win Best Sneeze.
You're so cute.
Yes, Maydrock will squee.
I'm sorry, but I think Fluttershy is gonna have a run for her money on cuteness.
Doc was asking why didn't they have a Russian or a German accent. I don't know. You have Pittsburgh. That's also a burg, but not German or Russian. But, okay, then, yeah. Let's see. So Twilight confronts her on helping Sky. They confront her, and it was something that needed to be done because they were messing each other up. They would miss one would miss something to help that they weren't realizing that they weren't doing. So we go back to the flashback. Sky was one of many foals, while Vapor was an only child. One was starved for attention, one was smothered, which explains their personalities to some extent. Vapor is not really a big attention seeker. Sky is very much an attention seeker. Ugh. Because he didn't get much of it at home. Because his parents, not for lack of trying, but his parents had many little foals to watch out for, so they couldn't all get the devoted attention that Vapor's parents tried to give her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she, her kind of wanting to help him was, she saw him struggling and she wanted him to help him get noticed and get what he wanted, which was to, be noticed. And also, she, while she still remains kind of hidden herself and not really, out there for people to look at or paying attention to, which is kind of one of those. She says, "I just want to be with my best friend." Trope, which is almost I want my beloved. It's almost a I want my beloved to be happy sort of trope.
Yeah.
Because the shipping was pretty hard on this one.
Okay. They do make a cute couple though.
Yeah, they it works as a ship. It definitely works as a ship.
Yeah. It's just so cute, and I like the picture you chose.
Yeah, that was a really cute moment when they it's like hug attack. And then other things happened. And Spitfire banned them from
Do not make love on the runway.
Anyway, so Twilight trains Sky in strength, which was his weakness, while Dash trains Vapor in tricks, which was her weakness. She wasn't doing the tricks as proficiently as he was because she was focused on making sure he had the strength he needed to do what he needed to do. But at this point, Sky is the only one who's kind of left out of the loop as to what's going on. And more shipping fuel. I think Vapor sculpts Sky in the clouds as part of her trick. It's like, the shipping light is on.
It's like, oh, she really loves him.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. Cadence is like, yep, that one's a good one. But Sky is still struggling with Twilight in doing his practicals. And for the first time since we've met her, Vapor says something nice about herself. She's very much focused on Sky, so we really haven't heard her talk much about herself. Which was nice seeing her say something nice about herself and get some more self-confidence. While Sky covers his insecurity, which he must know he failed those basic fundamentals. And he tries to cover his insecurity with bravado to not worry her. He doesn't, I think it's not explicitly stated, but I suspect that some of his bravado in this part of the episode is to say, I'm confident, don't worry about it, don't worry about me, I'm okay, even though he's not. At which point Vapor's like, she finally spills the beans because he needs to he needs to know that, yeah, this is not good, and what she's been doing to help him. Obviously he's crushed, and he lashes out at her, probably because he's a little mad at himself for not being as good as he is thinking he is. We have the two have a severe falling out, and Sky's confidence is crushed, and so completely that he fails the fling. That could also be his confidence and probably to some extent his strength as a flyer. They're both contributing factors. That's why he gives her hard work talk. It doesn't quite hit the mark. Sky's like, well, you mean I could be the princess of flying? Yes. Well, we've seen the Princess of Apples, so.
But you would be the prince. Although then again, there's Princess Big Mac and Princess Spike. I don't think princes exist.
Well, no, Shining Armor is technically, when he's addressed royally, he's addressed as Prince Shining Armor. When he's addressed formally. So he does exist, and there's Prince Blueblood as well, but there hasn't been any Alicorn princes that we know of. There could be some in the history books, but we don't know about it.
I want to be the princess of flying.
Of lying or flying?
Of flying. I'm already the princess of lying.
Okay. I think Dash is a little further ahead of you in line. Okay. I'll leave that little comment by Doc out. But in all this time, when Vapor has just been thinking about wanting to make sure Sky gets what he needs, she's neglected on really thinking about what she wants, because what she's wanted has been to have Sky get what he wants. She hasn't really thought about it, and in doing the tricks with Dash, she's realized that not only is this something she wants for Sky, because Sky wants it and she cares about Sky, but it's also something she wants for herself too, which is important. She's thinking about herself as well and her own goals, and not just, thinking purely about him. So we get the big hug from Vapor as they decide to use their strengths to help the other be more complete. They each had something the other needed. Sky knew how to do the tricks, he just didn't have the strength. He knew all that tricks and all the intricacies of doing the stunt work, but he didn't have the the physical ability to do it. And Vapor boosts his confidence, which, in addition to the training, is also helping him restore his, flying abilities. His confidence in how good a flyer he can be. So we see the two perform a little perfect duet of, of flying, of mirrored flying.
So cute.
Then we get the Top Gun reference that you knew was coming.
Oh yeah.
You can be my wing pony anytime, and you can be mine. There's some swearing in there as well, but I'm, I'll leave that out. Yeah, like, BS, you can be mine. But yeah, I think they're more than just wing ponies. They're more than just a pair of flyers that like to perform together. And then so, butt marks go off again. Butt beeper tells them they're done. They go on back, and by the time they get back to Twilight, it's like Dash is called back on a Wonderbolt emergency. What would constitute an emergency summoning the active Wonderbolts?
Oh, Princess Celestia needed a private show.
Well, then again, the Wonderbolts also showed that what was it? There was an attack or something, and I remember the Wonderbolts did respond to that.
The thing with Spike?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they did show up on that. The Wonderbolts did show up for that. So, I think, yeah, they may actually also have that, considering they are part of kind of a Royal Guardish thing, or they were originally supposed to be part of a Royal Guardish thing. Let's see what Doc has to say. Yeah, they're the Air Force. Yeah, I think they have the Royal Guard, but I think, the Wonderbolts are, I think, and they've always, other than rare instances, they've always been kind of shown as the Blue Angels of Equestria. Yeah, Doc's saying so, maybe an aerial assault. Yeah, they're kind of the Air Force, but I always saw them as more of a Blue Angel sort of thing. They don't really active. There's not really a lot of active combat with it, but there's, it's mostly stunt flying and air shows. Maybe Blue Angels, they'll go out and do other things as well. They'll get called in to do stuff in actual war stuff, but in like off seasons. But I don't know, when they're not touring. But maybe they're just dedicated. I'd have to look that up. But yeah, I mean, they basically, do that. But let's see what time. Yeah, they rarely need soldiers for aerial combat. She said most combat is ground and or magic. It's reading off what Doc's writing for me. She says they rarely need soldiers for aerial combat. Most combat is ground and or magic. And they also have the Royal Guard, I imagine, have some Pegasi in them, because we saw them pull the chariot that Twilight came to town in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flash. Though he's in the Crystal Empire. Though it wouldn't surprise me if Cadence suddenly found him transferred closer to Twilight for some reason. It's like, yes, I'd like to transfer him. I'll trade you a Royal Guard. But all my guard are white. Well, no, there's some other colored ponies, but like all of the yeah, personal guard from Doc. Yeah, a lot of Celestia's guard are all they're all white. It's like I think they've mixed it up a little bit later, and you see some with like gray coats, but there's a lot of white Royal Guard coats. Um, Perhaps they dye the coats as well, but I'm not reading that. Um, but yes, you would stand out like a sore thumb. But it's like yes, I suggest we move him. Twilight has never. She's a princess, but all the princesses except for her have a royal guard. We should really get her a royal guard, at least one. I mean, we can't convince her to take a whole regiment. You'd have for Celeste for me, Cadence to say, but she could take one, couldn't she? Have one royal guard just in case to act as her escort if we need her to be escorted somewhere. Some protection. She gets in enough trouble as it is. A little help couldn't hurt. Oh, it just gives me meaning to bodyguard from Doc. Yeah, that it wouldn't surprise me if that would be funny. That would be very funny. Uh, but yeah, that is one of the interesting things. Is she's a princess, but she's the only princess that doesn't have any royal guard. Because I guess the main six are her royal guard plus dragon. And Glimmer kind of works it as well nowadays.
Don't believe me, once you go
He can
dragon,
breathe
you
fire.
can't go
He could
back.
send them to Celestia. He could send them to Celestia. They.
uh, so back to this episode. What some people don't know is that there's actually going to be an alternate ending to this episode. See, where she never told him that she was helping him, so they both fail. And many years later, they're very old ponies rocking chairs, and she's like, "Oh hey, I was totally helping you out," and he freaks out so much he dies.
Uh, but yes, overall, as per usual, Doc has decided to call Madrock an idiot. There's not much to say. It was a decent episode. Wasn't amazing. There was a really cute couple in it now. So it'll be interesting to see them come back. Ooh. If you see them in a background of next season's like a Wonderbolt episode with Dash, and they have them in the background, and
Yeah, and
wearing,
so
like,
much not safe
wearing
guard is going on them.
yeah, still better than Chatty Big Mike. Oh, oh yeah, you see him with like some sort of ring, some sort of wedding ring or something. It's like, ooh, bye. But shipping confirmed. But that was an okay episode. Interesting penultimate episode before the big two-part finale. Next wedding is Skystinger and Vapor Trail. Other than that, I didn't have really much else to say. Decent episode, decent penultimate episode. Nothing nothing amazing. You know, we're not, you know, this isn't Crusaders of the Lost Mark, but it's not Princess Spike either. It's a good episode. It's nice to see the
Yeah, it's
Wonderbolts every once in a while. I like seeing Spitfire because
I would
usually
just
she's
call
yelling
it
at
a
somebody.
filler episode.
It, you know, I mean, basically, if you call it a filler episode, basically every episode's a filler episode then, outside of
Well,
premieres and finales.
didn't really have it didn't really have a purpose other than to be there. Like it didn't really contribute to the overall story.
That's most of the episodes. They don't really contribute to
No,
an overarching story, but they just kind
what
of
I
are
mean
there.
is you got like the episodes in that one season where they got the items that turned out to be keys. Those would not be filler episodes because those actually had a
Yeah,
purpose in the thing.
but other than them, there's very few episodes that actually have a purpose. I mean, you get some character development every once in a while, but for the most part, they're yeah. None of this season are yeah. They're not. None of them are really, you know, pushing a particular plot along. Other
Not
than
really.
other than the
The episodes
other
with
than the
Starlight Glimmer are
two-parter
pushing
at the end,
plot
which is
along.
going just long enough to push the second part in. So, yeah, I mean, there's some character development with Glimmer, but there's really not that much here. So, I mean, that definition kind of makes almost every episode of this show a filler episode. It's a slice of life show, and it's not going to have necessarily big overarching themes. You have to worry, big overarching stories all the time. Her development, she's saying Starlight isn't an overarching plot. She does get some character development. Yeah, she does get some. So I mean, that does kind of, you know, there's some changes with her. So, you know that, but um, her reformation it's kind of a story line. It's not much of one, but it's there. Um, I mean that's basically it. It's a running idea. There's not basically there's not a lot of like meaty episodes. It's all roughly slice of life stuff. But there's really not much else I had to say about this episode. It was good, wasn't great, had a cute couple. That's about it. Yeah, she's saying the CMC don't need to find their cutie marks anymore, so now we need a new character to develop, which is Glimmer. She's also a surrogate for not a surrogate, but she's kind of a substitute for Twilight, because at this point Twilight is supposed to be kind of not really finished, but more the expert. She's supposed to be the teacher of friendship, and Starlight is Twilight 2.0.
Twilight 2.0. Twilight 2.0.
Except for with evil.
Evil.
If Doc
And
has,
then
looks like Doc has something else to say.
she's probably gonna tell me to stop singing.
Yeah, yeah. They all reached the main six. All reached their apex too. Yeah, yeah. Basically, everybody's reached their goals for the most part. Yeah, because if you go through it, Twilight's a princess of friendship. She's mastered friendship for the most part. Rarity's got her shops all over Equestria. Rainbow Dash is a Wonderbolt. Huge. Fluttershy never really had many goals other than just kind of peacefully exist with her animals, and she's continuing to do that, so... And she's grown just a little bit more assertive, but... You know...
And Vapor is gonna be really sad when she finds out that her friend is actually gay and it's never going to happen.
Let's see. So that's Fluttershy, and then Applejack always wanted to be on the farm, so be careful about this. Um, Applejack is pretty content because she doesn't have a lot of issues and she's wanted to be on the farm, so that's good. And Pinky wants to party and make make ponies smile, and she's basically doing that. So
Pinky is always happy.
basically everybody is content. And the CMC have their marks, and so everybody's kind of reached contentment and kind of the end of one story arc, and now they have to make new story arcs to make the whole thing work and to have a nice overarching story. And so, yeah, there's that's what Doc has to say. Disky needs to be a princess. He was a princess for a minute. I mean, when you're the Lord of Chaos, your powers are pretty much on the level of a princess. So, and
Yeah, I would say greater.
12.5 seconds. Yes, he was a princess for 12.5 seconds, but I mean, he could be a princess at will. So, you know. He can be a princess if he wants to be. Don't go defining him by your rules.
You know, there's something I'm gonna guess about the finale.
What's
Here,
that?
here's my prediction for it. It's a villain from 1,000 years ago.
I'm not gonna say anything. I've seen it. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say a dang thing because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Well, I didn't spoil anything because, like I said, I haven't seen it, but that seems to be a pattern with villains.
You're just making a prediction. You haven't seen it. I've seen it, so I could confirm or deny it, and so I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to say anything about the next episode.
Like, Celestia, how many creatures did you piss off 1,000 years ago?
Anyway, I think that just about gets the review done. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say about the review?
Well, no, but Doc says she wants to marry me, and I say yes. Yes to that. Totally yes. Oh, she says thank you. Thank you so much.
These are lies. These are loads of lies. These are great big piles of... Oh, wait, no. Me? Maidrock? No. Oh, what was this?
Well, so let's see, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're just about out of content now. We've broken down to Doc is tearing Maidrock a new one in chat, so I think we best move on. I think this is all we're gonna do today is get it to the review due to some other things that are happening. But I think we'll call that a day. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll...
Yes, and tell me that I'm awesome.
No, don't lie to him.
Don't lie to me. I don't care.
At any rate, and I'll thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week with the finale review. Bye-bye.